Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We are your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today's the 9th of August, 2020. We're here. It's Sunday. What we do on Sunday is we take you all around the world for the top news of this week. And it seems like no matter what week it is, there's a lot going on.
Beirut exploded this week.
Literally exploded.
There's a huge aftermath, but there's some...
You mean aftermath like crater in the ground where there's a nice saltwater lake that's formed?
That, and there's a lot of political things happening right now there in Beirut. There are people protesting. So I want to take you into why people, after their city had been utterly destroyed, they would want to destroy even more. I'm talking riots, fire bombs. Like, fire wasn't enough for them.
You know, I think it's kind of like riots in the air everywhere we look around.
It's true. But Beirut is contagious.
It's in the COVID. The riots are in the COVID.
Let me explain something, though, because Beirut's government is run by Hezbollah, which is a terrorist group, a terrorist arm of Iran.
That means there's no government. It's not that the government is run. It just means that the government was overtaken, and now the country is being run by.
So there's a lot of Christians. Lebanon was actually the Christian section of the Middle East when they started to chunk things off and piece of the cheese. There was a lot of Christians left in the early 80s, the late 70s. Huge persecution as Hezbollah and Palestinian terrorists were kicked out of Jordan. And they went into Lebanon.
You gotta go somewhere.
I want to get into that story. We're going to cover that. I have so much footage for you. It's pretty crazy going on right there. We are going to take you to Nigel, who is not doing an LBC. I'm saddened by that, but he has become an undercover investigative reporter.
But he's not undercover.
He has become an investigative reporter. Nigel Farage is going to cover. He's Nigel Farage. He's just become, and so he's got part 2.
I think you were looking for another phrase. You just meant investigative. You said that part.
Like this.
What?
You got something right here in this too. Yeah, right here.
No,
right,
I
that
don't.
one right there.
I don't.
Yeah, but no, the other one next.
Right
yeah, there you got it.
I don't see it.
Now it's gone. All right, but before I take you to Nigel Farage and his part 2 expose and all the footage, I mean, they're taking these migrants like on little vacations, little trips to see Britain.
And they're putting them up in the best hotels,
the very best. I still go back to what Kansas is like. If I get on like a boat, can I just go to Britain for free? I mean, how is this working out? But first, I thought you would enjoy this.
Going to Canada.
We're going to Canada with Rebel News. Canada is broken up into sections, and we have Brampton, Ontario mayor, who would like to be the premier of Ontario. Okay. Kind of like a governor, basically.
All right.
Breaks his own pandemic rules and is caught by Rebel News. Here's the thing. I'm going to play this.
Being a rebel himself.
Yeah. So, Ontario mayor banned kids from playing hockey. It's a big thing in Canada, if you didn't know. And has pandemic fines up to $100,000. But for a few weeks, he has secretly been using a city arena for him and his friends to play hockey at the cost of $1,000 a day to run this rink. Now, I have since looked at some of the people saying that this particular rink is open, and it's, even though it's a level 3, that you can like rent it for the day or whatever. There are a couple problems with that. Number one, you're not supposed to be able, it's only supposed to be open, I guess, to like, you know, Canadian hockey, like pros.
Sure,
not to like,
yeah.
But they call it the Shiny League or the Beer League. I didn't know this. I just learned this. Okay? It's not supposed to be open to just regular Joes. And the mayor is a regular Joe, even if he has professional hockey player friends. Okay? He's not supposed to be playing the games. And he tells Rebel News that he's just there to inspect the arena, but his bag is there with his name on it, with his hockey gear. And to top it all off, boy ain't wearing no mask, and he's fining everybody else for not wearing masks. So I just thought you guys would enjoy this expose, just because it's absolutely hilarious to me.
Well, folks, we're getting the bums rush, but holy mackerel, I think I see Patrick Brown himself.
Mayor Brandon.
David Manzi with Rebel News.
You're in a city facility?
Yeah, so are you.
Yeah.
So, Are you playing hockey here? Or?
No, I'm just coming to check out our facility. You're not supposed to be here, right?
Are these...
Hey, we're going to see that a little bit again, but that's his name. He's got a friend bring his bag in. He lies right on camera. Even if they're allowed to be playing there. The fact that he's like, I'm the mayor, this is legal, I can do this.
I would have just owned it. I would have been like, dude, I paid my $1,000.
Taxpayer dollars being used?
Okay, I'm sure it's a
for your buddies to play hockey on this way?
Money,
why is there one law for me and one law for thee in this city?
The kids can't play. That's the problem. The kids can't play. Only people.
So when they ask you to leave, they're acting as agents for the building, right?
Why don't you phone bylaw? You're the professional snitches for bylaw. We've covered that already.
You're trespassing officer of the city facilities and recreation centers for the next year.
Officer, is this correct that we're being told we can't come to Brampton recreation facilities for the next year? David Menzies for Rebel News here in Brampton, Ontario. And folks, before I get to our story, and wow, what a story. If you can, please go to journalistdefensefund.com. If this is allowed here in Brampton, you can actually play a game. But will you hear what this viewer had to tell us? Hello, I was tipped off by staff. As all of our recreation and community centers are shut down, Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown made the staff at Earnscliffe Recreation Centre reinstall the ice in one of its ice rinks so him and his associate can go there every Wednesday and practice his skating at 5 p.m. like clockwork. Of course, he doesn't carry his hockey gear in with him. He has his associate do it. So many people have paid a yearly membership but cannot go in due to COVID. However, at approximately $1,000 a day
right there,
to sustain
that
an ice
clarifies
rink.
it a little bit more. There are members there
Who can't
that can't get in.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah.
Carry on.
It's not fair. The mayor shouldn't be allowed to play. Nobody plays if the members can't play. And
Right.
they have, I don't care if it's appointment or businesses make an appointment or whatever. Okay? And these people have membership fees that they've already paid.
Right.
Nobody plays.
He, meaning Patrick Brown, can go once a week for an hour. Well, folks, I can tell you, just when we arrived, we indeed saw a player carrying 2 hockey bags and 4 hockey sticks. So obviously he's carrying some gear for another person. And it's spectacular, because if this is indeed the truth, that Patrick Brown, on the sly, kind of like running a speakeasy during Prohibition, serving alcohol.
I love this whole video.
Going here for him and his buddies to practice and or play
Here's the
hockey.
thing. To me, it summed up what all the major people are doing. Like Chris Cuomo, he was supposedly had COVID and left his house with a friend of the family, and he didn't stay under quarantine.
Here's what I don't understand.
It
what makes these people think that they're going to get away with it, though?
But like Gavin Newsom marched with protesters, even though he's shutting down churches. This is a common theme we're seeing with these.
It's kind of like a little bit of hypocrisy.
A little
Talk
bit.
about going offside in terms of one law for me and one law for thee. So we're just going to walk in to these twin rinks and see what the situation is, to see if A, the ice is in place, B, if the people on the ice are practicing as opposed to playing, and C, we're going to see if Mayor Patrick Brown is going to dare show his face at this city facility being paid for by, I don't know, maybe you, the taxpayer? Let's go check it out.
My gosh. It's unbelievable.
Hi, sir. Do you know where Patrick Brown might be?
Yeah, he hasn't showed up yet.
Oh, okay. He does play here, though, right?
He does.
Oh.
He hasn't showed up yet, but he does play here every Wednesday at 5
Okay,
o'clock.
then that confirms it. Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we can't have people just randomly coming in here.
Oh, why is that? I see a whole bunch of hockey players playing a game, sir.
Rented the ice.
Well, folks, we're getting the bums rush, but holy mackerel, I think I see Patrick Brown himself. Hey, how you doing? Mr. Brown, right?
It's a little embarrassing for you to watch it.
It's hard to watch it. It is.
You're in a city facility?
What's that?
You're in a city facility?
Yeah, so are you.
Yeah.
So, are you playing hockey here? Or?
No, I'm just coming to check out our facility. So
I want you to notice
He's
something that's
live
missing from his
straight.
face. I want you to know that something's missing from his face. He doesn't have a mask on.
Right.
And the player just said, no, he hasn't showed up yet, but does he play here? He says he's just here to inspect the facility. But he's there to play.
We're gonna check you. You're not supposed to be here, actually.
We were told that you play pickup here. Mr. Brown, how come the kids in Brampton can only practice sports, but your buddies can play hockey?
Yeah. So, I don't know why you are harassing people in the city of Brampton, but you shouldn't be.
Who's harassing who? Your guys handed out 122 bylaw violations in 1 week.
122 COVID restrictions for not keeping social distance.
You mean violations?
Violation for not wearing masks or keeping social distance. But this guy doesn't wear a stupid mask. That's what they know something. All the elites, all the people in power.
Well, okay, so it's possible and probable, because I believe that, so for those of you that are watching our show, I want you to know, I believe 100% the virus is real. It is dangerous, and it is killing people.
Or he could just be taking hydroxy.
I think all the elites are taking hydroxy. All of them.
Why is there a hockey game going on in this arena? I thought you're only allowed to practice sports, not play them. And who is paying the $1,000 a day, Mr. Brown, for this rink?
The fact that he just bold-faced lied without even thinking about it.
Are these taxpayer dollars being used?
I would have had a better answer. I would have been like, do you remember when Mayor Lightfoot was
or
like,
are you paying it?
I hold a position, I need to have my
Solomon.
hair done? Like, I would have been like, dude,
so
I
Brown,
hold a position, I got
why is there one law for me and one law for thee in this city?
Okay.
Mr. Brown?
And he shows up and he says, we're here to inspect the facility.
Patrick Brown just left and he didn't have a mask either, sir.
I'm just the operator. I don't know who's coming on the ice.
Well,
guys, come on.
He's the chief.
He doesn't stick around to inspect the facility like you said.
I'm not leaving, sir. This is a taxpayer-funded facility. I have every right as a taxpayer to be here, sir. I'm not trying to give you a hard time. Well, I'm trying to find out why kids can't play soccer or baseball or cricket. They can only practice. And Mayor Patrick Brown's friends are playing a full hockey game here.
I don't.
Okay, then. So if you eject us, you have to eject them. Fair enough. Phone the police. You just saw we did encounter Patrick Brown. Patrick Brown not wearing a mask, by the way, as we were told to do by the rink attendant. And I ask you, does this look like a practice or a hockey game? Well, I played hockey most of my life, folks. That's a game. Hey, nice save, by the way. That is no practice. I don't see little orange pine cones on the ice and players aren't doing figure eight drills and passing the puck around. But this is an absolute outrage that Patrick Brown has got the ice sheet on here, on the sly, and he's breaking the rules of play.
You gotta see this. Wait, here we go. Ready?
Wearing 00, Patrick Brown. You know what? Technically, it's circumstantial evidence. There might be another Patrick Brown with playing in this ice sheet that is not the mayor of Brampton. But I don't know. I think that's the smoking gun. This is Patrick's gear, and he had every intention to play hockey here at this rink. Well, you know what? It's been a long lockout. You can't get into Scotiabank Arena or the Edmonton rink to watch the NHL game, so I'm just going to watch a little good old-time hockey, and, well, at least until the police show up, and then they're going to charge us with what?
In and out. So when they ask you to leave, they're acting as agents for the building, right? So if they ask you to leave, you have to. If you refuse to, then it becomes an issue. But from what I can see right now, you're being cooperative and you're willing to leave with me. I can talk more to you.
Oh, certainly, sir. I'm just wondering, as you said, the facility is closed to the public, so Why is Mayor Patrick Brown?
It's by appointment.
By appointment
That's
only.
what I've been told.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm just getting here. I literally just got here.
Hey guys, you really gave 110% out there. Say, how come Patrick Brown has this cozy arrangement for him and his buddies to play hockey? How about yourself, sir? No comment.
It's killing me.
I don't have the ability to
I
do
could
that.
never do this.
Oh, we can't be in the parking lot?
Rest of the folks, including Mayor Brown, and so I don't think that these are worth the paper they're written
They told them
on.
they couldn't
From what
go.
you saw on the video, did you witness Mayor Brown doing anything illegal or illicit?
Well, what we see here is a number of issues with Mayor Brown's conduct. First of all, it doesn't appear that he has any right under the provincial or the Brampton city bylaws to be in an indoor recreational facility in an ad hoc manner like he has been over the course of the pandemic with his buddies holding a shinny game. And nowhere in the bylaws is this allowed, and in fact, it appears to be a pretty clear violation. The other violation appears to be
get the $100,000 fine? I hope so.
One that is so important to Mayor Brown. It's the face masks, and the bylaws are pretty clear in Brampton that you need to be wearing a face mask when you're in an indoor facility, and yet he's not wearing one. You are. He's not. And so I think that that's also a potential violation by Mayor Brown, and one that, in my view, he should be ashamed of in light of the public stance that he's taken in being so aggressive against the people of Brampton.
Indeed, I think that mask bylaw dates back till July 10th, almost a month, so clearly one rule for thee, one rule for me. Last question, Aaron. I understand you've drafted a letter to the city of Brampton. What is that all about, my friend?
Well, we share Mayor Brown's concern about public safety in the city of Brampton. And, of course, Mayor Brown is concerned about it, and we at Rebel are concerned about it. So, Rebel and yourself, we've written a letter to bylaw enforcement, a report of Mayor Brown's violation, his non-compliance with the provincial orders, the Ontario legislation, as well as his own city bylaws in respect of the COVID-19 pandemic. That's social distancing, that is complying with the requirements with respect to which facilities you can be in. That would
So great.
One rule for me, and for y'all, you're stuck in your houses. You don't get to go use the pool. You don't get to use the hockey rink. You got to play outside 6 feet apart from everybody else.
Right.
And if you go inside a building, you have to have a mask on. But I'm the mayor. And don't you know, mayors can't get COVID.
Well, and here's the deal. I mean, in all honesty, I think a majority of us have been involved in something in our lives where you're on the inside, whether it's a play or, whatever, and you get to do something that other people don't get to do because you're on the inside, right? And so you understand that, like, the rules don't exactly apply to you. You can go in the areas that say staff only. You can, those sorts of things. I don't have to do this because I can go behind the tape or whatever.
Yeah.
I think what happens to these people is they get stuck in that mindset for everything in life. And so they literally think, that's why you see a lot of these people get these DUIs and, you know what I mean? They literally think that they are above everyone else, that they're on the world governments, whether it's America, Canada, or in the EU or the UK, they all have this, like, superiority cabal. And once you're in it, I think you literally think that the rules do not apply to you ever. And not just that people that can get you out of it, but I just don't even think that he, in his heart of hearts, Okay? If he has one. He knows that what he's doing is wrong, but he thinks that it's only wrong on the surface, but like it's fine
because it's just me.
It's just me. It's just me. So the fact that so he's really just thinking, he's probably really angry, like, I can't believe I got caught, but I wasn't doing anything wrong. Okay, because I am above this. Right. I'm above it. Everyone else has to do it, but I don't. I'm the head guy.
Speaking of being above the law, our on-the-scene investigator, Nigel Farage, who has taken to the streets, basically, to report on what is happening. And if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't maybe you guys wouldn't know that you're being invaded. Today, he wrote, or 8 hours ago, another 150 in Dover yesterday. Hot air and bluster is all we get from the government. They don't have a plan, and so the humiliation will continue. So we're going to see, I'm going to read you an article.
And then we're going to watch Nigel's part 2.
We are going to watch Nigel's part 2, but let me just give you an idea of what's going on over here. Nigel has been tweeting out this week a bunch of videos. I believe you can still see them from behind me. Priti Patel is supposedly going to call the Navy, but Nigel trusts that as far as he could throw it.
The Royal Navy.
The Royal Navy. Now, this particular boat I thought was a little bit ingenious. It's a little bit of a canoe, a blow-up canoe, I think. Just kind of almost looks kind of fun. And here we are.
How long they've been in that thing? Do we know how long
how long it takes?
How long it takes to get there by boat?
How long, guys, from France to the English Channel here?
Through the English Channel. Oh, here, you gotta put your mask on. I love that these guys just know. Yeah, I'm gonna put the mask on.
I'm standing at the back. I'm coming forward.
And they're rescued. They don't even have to make it to Britain. They're rescued.
Okay.
I don't have words. These were funny. Britain is a soft touch, she says here.
Well, you can have those.
So that's the tunnel.
That is, it's what used to be the tunnel. Right. But yeah,
this is the excursion day.
But yeah, that's from the changing room.
It says, back home to Hoylake after a memorable day. Highlights were the excitement of seeing Mo Salah's peg in the changing room, the gasps as we walked through the tunnel into the stadium, and tucking into pizza and fish and chips. I mean, so basically, what you got to do, you got to get on a dinghy, cross the channel illegally. You can come somewhere nice like Hoylake. They put you up in a great hotel, and just after Liverpool have won the Premiership, they take you for a tour of the stadium. And you know, the people behind this charity, who funded this trip to Anfield, clearly think they're doing good. But actually, all these people will be sending selfies and pictures back to their countries, wherever they come from. And the message is, come on down, get into the country, hotels, 40 quid a week spending money, full board, trips to Anfield, who knows? Come to England legally, you might even play in the Premier League. I mean, that's the message.
Barry says, Michelle, Priti Patel has sent the military and the Navy to Dover. She has also hatched plans to rehouse the migrants into prisons.
So that's the tunnel.
What did he say again? Sorry.
That she has sent the military and the Navy to Dover, and she has hatched plans to rehouse the migrants into prisons.
Prisons! Exclusive footage of beach landing by the migrants, shocking invasion of the Kent coast. 3.2 million views on this. There are, it appears to be a child, 3 children on this boat. A hijabi with this one, so these ones are, there's women and children in this one. So they're not just...
he also says it's 4 hours by ferry.
And they just get off and walk into town because they've made arrangements with people already, I'm sure, friends and family already in the UK who will house them and make sure that they're, you get your benefits, you get your food stamps, you get your housing. And you got asylum going on.
Unbelievable.
Remember, they're leaving from France, which is a safe country, by the way.
Harold says, while illegal immigrants are being housed in 4-star hotels up and down the UK, the elderly are being euthanized in home care using nil by mouth, the Liverpool care pathway.
Yeah, that's true. This was in Rinley rescue. Yes, this was a Rinley rescue today. RNLI. In rough sea conditions, you will notice there are some children on board.
I bet that's an acronym for something. Royal Navy.
Something.
LI. Robin says they always bring a few children to use as human shields. Tim says the French supply the life vests and the Zodiacs.
Looks like a lot of Muslims coming on over on the boats as well. We did have Good Morning Britain finally do a story. The British government has called on France to take tougher action on migrant boats.
I think that this is all thanks to Nigel. I think that if he was not shining the light on this, they would be able to continue.
Well, as what's her little face? She said in her show, her morning radio show, you guys like her. She's funny. Not the LBC, the other radio program. She said, why did it take the Brexit Party to expose this?
Slap bang in the middle of the English Channel here. That's French waters just over here. We are just inside English waters. A very busy morning. There are more migrant boats, I think, out here in the Channel than there are passenger ferries at the moment. I just want to show you something that's happening right now as we speak. This is symptomatic, really, of the problem, because if we just zoom the camera in, sorry about the position of the sun, etc., but that is the French Coast Guard you can see there just in the distance. We're not allowed to get any closer. There's an exclusion zone around, but that is actually shadowing a migrant dinghy just in front of it. You can probably just see it's a very small black speck there on the horizon. That has actually been shadowing the migrant boat all the way from the French coast. So no attempt to intercept it or to turn it round to France. What they are doing is, and we can just pan the camera around to the left. Sorry about the sun, it's any position we've got. That there in the distance, that is a UK Border Force boat called a Seeker. That is now waiting for the migrant boat to be dropped off effectively by the French Coast Guards, and then the UK Border Force will then take those migrants back to Dover, where they will then then sort of seek asylum in the UK. So this is definitely the sort of issue that has been going on for the past few months here. Even the UK Home Office have acknowledged that they want the French Coast Guards to do more to intercept the migrant boats, to try to force them back. And these migrants at the moment, it's an industry that's going on. They are kind of paying criminal organised gangs to find the boat for them, supply them with fuel. They're often paying £5,000 or £6,000 to get on the boat, and then they are just having enough fuel to get into the English waters. But this is really what's happening, and it's the first time I've actually seen this in real time, where the French are effectively handing over migrant boats.
I think that these reporters were probably in denial about it, frankly, until he gets there and sees for himself. And I'm going to tell you something. That reporter probably went home and laid his head on his pillow and felt, I did some real reporting today for the first time in my whole life. I really reported some news. I kind of like that. That's nice. I
got a little adrenaline pumping going there. I actually brought people, even though Nigel Farage, you feel like you're breaking the story because you're the mainstream media, right? So
you're not breaking the story. Nigel broke the story, and other people broke the story.
These were the coaches being loaded up in Dover on the 4th, coming to a hotel near you.
Big fan. You call that a coach, like a big fancy bus, like the expensive kind. I didn't know you guys had those kind of things over there in the UK.
A Mercedes.
Everything's so small. The streets are so little, but I guess you do have those big double-decker buses. Barry says, Michelle, I was on the coast the other day and I saw larger ripples in a swimming pool. That is how calm the North Sea and the Channel are at the moment. Absolutely mill pond.
Another chaotic day in the English Channel, 130 in Dover. Exclusive Nigel footage. You know, if you're the border force, you're supposed to enforce the border. Not bring them in, baby. Enforcing the border means you turn around, you gotta go Agent and his not so undercover report.
His part 2. Oh, it's so awesome. Let me switch over here. Whoops. Come on.
The hotel had been filled up with illegal immigrants, but closed. So we went up, we visited, I made a video, and we've exposed the fact that all over the country what's happening is hotels are being filled up by people crossing the channel, people getting into the country illegally. What's the reaction been? Well, nobody wanted to talk about this, but I'll tell you what, they're talking about it now, at least you are. Nearly 7 million views on social media of that film we made last week. And yet, Sajid Javid, the local member of parliament for that area, has not said a single word about it. The government have said absolutely nothing. Serco, the company that have been given a £2 billion contract by the government over the next 10 years to house these people, they've said I was wrong because actually they're accommodating women and children as well. Well, not in that hotel, they're not, is all I can say. And they say that it's temporary until they can find more permanent solutions. This is backed up by the Home Office. They also say the use of hotels is temporary, but you try and book a room, in Bromsgrove, and you'll find it's booked for months and months to come. But interesting, isn't it, that the Home Office talk about finding permanent solutions. There is almost an acceptance in the Home Office that if you come to this country, you will be allowed to stay. And mainstream media, they won't touch it with a barge pole. But then, when I made the films out in the English Channel about the handovers, if you remember at the time, nobody else would cover this, and now we've got Good Morning Britain, Sky, and the BBC, and many others that are doing so. So I think that if we keep pushing this, we'll get a proper debate. Now, what I've learned is that the Northwest is the region that's been most heavily burdened with this. And I made an appeal at the end of the last film. Please, if you've got info, let us know. We've been swamped, and an awful lot of you have responded from the Northwest. So this is Nigel Farage Investigates Part 2. We're off to the Northwest. Let's see what we can find out. So we're here in leafy Cheshire, in Sandbach, and we're going into the Chimney House Hotel. No, we're not going into the Chimney House Hotel because it's closed. But there's a phone number.
Are those butterflies on his eye? They look like butterflies. They're really pretty shiny.
No, good night. There's not much we can do, is there? We know it's full because we've had lots of local residents saying, how come people are being put up in this amazing country house hotel? Quite a big place for wedding receptions, conferences, things like you see. It looks absolutely amazing.
Grammarly does more than catch.
Hey, at least he's making ads, right? Making money on ads.
We've got it like chained up. Wow.
They don't want us going in, do they? Gosh.
I wonder if they did that after his last
Well, look, I can't get in there. I'm not going to climb the fence. But we've had over a dozen emails from local residents here in Sandbach telling us this hotel is closed, but it's actually full. It's exactly the same thing as we saw in Bromsgrove last week. So we've come a couple of junctions up the M6. We are now at the Des Green Park Hotel, which is just outside Warrington, owned by Britannia Hotels. It's a big conference centre, has very glitzy videos, all the rest of it.
I love that it's Nigel.
Let's see what we can find. Oh, by the way, they're doing very well. Their business is phenomenal.
You're not just someone that
we're just trying to book an evening room in November, and they're full. I mean, to have business like that, wow. Well, there's the leisure club. Yeah, they've got lovely swimming pools here and spas and all the rest of it, so it's not all bad. Closed.
Yeah, the hotel's closed.
We looked at the website. And you tried to book, but you're full for the rest of the year, are you?
Yeah, well, the hotel's closed, so you're going to have to speak to Circle Direct if you wish to speak to them.
Right, but it's full.
Thank you.
But it's full.
Yeah, the hotel's closed.
But it's full.
The hotel's closed, so you're going to speak to Circle.
Closed to public, you mean?
The hotel's closed, so could you contact Circle Direct?
Looks pretty busy, but I'll contact Circle Direct. that, following our trip to Bromsgrove last week, they put all these places on high alert just to keep people out. Obviously, they couldn't fence this one off. But yeah, the idea of the hotel's closed, but it's full. So it's that same story. But they really are. They really are on alert.
Masks there.
You can tell. Okay, so we're now just approaching the Mercure Chester North Woodhay House Hotel. We're kind of in Ellesmere Port, really. But we don't have to travel very far around the northwest to go to hotel after hotel that is closed. And one of the reasons I'm doing this, and by the way, thank you, all of you who've given me the addresses of these hotels. Massive response to what I put out last week. But one of the reasons I'm doing it, I just want people to get a handle on the sheer scale of what is going on.
The scale.
So
not just one,
not
just
I want
two,
to pause this really quickly.
Not just three of the finest
we're gonna
places
finish
to
it.
stay in Britain.
We're going to finish this, but I want to make us big because I want to make sure you can hear us. What we're looking at here is a buy-off of hotels. Now, as a business owner, I can tell you that if I were to stop all business with my current clientele and shift it, even if I was completely booked to other people, my fear would be
my guests wouldn't come back.
My guests would never come back after that. Even as a hotel, you want to keep your current clientele cycling through. So in order for them to be complying with this, they have to be being paid
the whole building
so much money.
Full.
It's not
full,
just a
I'm
matter
sure.
of being booked full. I'm going to guess that they're
thinking,
getting paid even more than standard rates.
I would think that they're getting paid standard rates as a full capacity.
And I think it's probably more than that, but that's just my opinion. We can differ on that. But I really do believe that they've got contracts that says even, we're going to use you for the next 2 or 3 years or whatever. I mean, anything outside of, and the fact that these hotels are not owned by like a person of conscience that says, no, I actually...
What if your government makes you do it?
Then I would be speaking out about it. The government's... If I owned these hotels, I would say I enjoy having people come and do their weddings and their receptions and staying, and I like...
But you're not allowed to do the weddings and receptions right now.
But this was probably happening prior to COVID. I'm going to guess.
I don't know.
I don't know either. We're not good investigative reporters. But Nigel is investigating, so let's get back to him. But my point is, I think that there's... The fact that these hotels are complying fairly easily and not speaking out...
They're getting paid a lot.
Smells like a rat to me.
Paid a lot.
As we've seen, car park completely empty. All the bedroom windows open, which means people are there, they're in. Let's have a look. Is it blocked off, or let's have a look. There we are. Empty car park, but full hotel. It's the same story everywhere we go. I shouldn't be laughing, really. So, this is the 4th stop here in the northwest this morning. We are now here at the Holiday Inn Express, Liverpool, Hoylake, formerly known as the King's Gap Hotel. Hoylake, nice little seaside town. Famed, of course, because the British Golf Championship comes there from time to time. And it's a nice part of the world. This hotel, like all the others, it's the same story. After I put out that video last week, local residents here getting in touch with me, saying that it's all been filled up with illegal migrants. But what's fascinating up here, I've just seen a Granada news report saying the whole town is overjoyed this is happening. Never has Hoylake been so welcoming. It's completely one-sided being here. I'm doing my best to get this out because the government don't want you to know about it. Serco, who have been paid £2 billion over the next 10 years, certainly don't want you to know about it. But the impression's given that there were local consultations, the local community is very, very happy. Well, one of the people who contacted me from this area is a fellow called Justin. Justin.
Nigel.
Hoylake is home to you.
Yes.
What's happened here?
Well, a couple of months ago, the rumour mill started, and the next thing it filtered out because the council didn't tell anybody that we'd taken on about 40 or 50 refugees, as they've described them.
Yeah.
And they've been here ever since. We don't know where they're from. We don't know who's paying for it, but we suspect they're not.
No, you are.
Yeah. And I have to say, we're not looking at impoverished-looking chaps here. We're looking at young men in their 20s, maybe a little older, maybe a little younger in some cases, well-dressed, well-fed, well-cared for, which they're all good things. But when it was discovered that they'd been taken over to Anfield...
To what?
Anfield, it's the home of Liverpool football.
I know what
club.
Anfield is. What do you mean they were taken to Anfield?
Well, someone in their wisdom thought that they might enjoy a day out. So there's thousands of kids around here who'd love to do something like that, but these lucky men got to do it instead.
When you say went to Anfield?
They went for a guided tour.
What, all round?
All around the stadium, into the dressing room, through the tunnel, saw the famous Anfield sign, all of these things, yeah. But certainly, it's not the kind of event that is readily available for everybody else to do.
Yeah, and just after
that's the key. That's like even
literally,
makes it worse.
July 16th was the day they went to Anfield.
Absolutely astonishing. And I can imagine that because they've all got great phones.
Yeah.
I can imagine selfies, posts.
Yeah.
And a message going back to their home countries. Hey guys, I got across the channel. Look how good this is.
Well, they've certainly all got phones. I don't know who they're speaking to, they're sending their message to, but well, yeah, you have to wonder then.
Absolutely astonishing. That is astonishing. We're going to have to find some evidence about Anfield trip. I believe you, but let's find some evidence about the Anfield. Well, I've got to tell you, I've heard all sorts of things, but the thought that you come here illegally, get put up in a nice hotel, and then get to visit the Premier League champions, you've got some more investigating to do. Here we go again.
Little hippity stuff.
I know. It's so adorable.
Writing's not that
Another
easy,
ad
but
for
Grammarly can help.
If
Good
you guys
for
ever
him.
see ads on our show, it's because of a copyright. Somebody else is making that money.
It's completely locked. I have to have a pass. Do I have to have a pass key?
Oh, he's like...
Hello there.
Hello there, how are you?
Fine, thank you. So how long is this booked up for?
How long's this book for? I can't answer any questions in that.
You can't answer any questions?
No.
Is it a month?
You need to speak to
6 months?
No, I can't answer any questions.
Do you not know, or you can't answer?
I'm not at liberty to answer at the moment.
Alright. So is it completely closed to the public?
At the moment, yes.
Astonishing. How long have you been here?
Again, I'm not going to answer that. I'll get into conversation about that.
Are you told not to say it?
No. It's just me myself.
Is it? It's funny. You're the fourth person today. You're the fourth person today who's been himself and said nothing. I think you're probably told what to do, but I get why. There's a lot of money involved, isn't there?
I can't comment. That's it. I can't comment.
I can. All right, fine. Well, there we are. Same everywhere. Serco obviously getting a bit nervous, but then, hey, their share price is doing well.
Okay.
Another local resident, Phil. Phil, good to meet you, mate.
And you as well.
Did you see
I'm told, I've watched all the news reports. Everyone's thrilled.
It is open right for him,
What was known as the King's Gap Hotel has been filled up with illegal
Oh,
migrants.
surely that's not what I've heard. I mean, quite the contrary. I've heard that the taxpayers are paying for all this. I've lived here all my life, apart from a stint in London for 10 years. And I'm just appalled.
I gotta pause this again.
It's
Here's the deal with the taxpayer stuff. I would think that it should be public record.
Yeah.
If the taxpayers are paying for it. So if it comes out later that the taxpayers are paying for it and they kept it a secret, you know what I mean? That seems like the most egregious thing ever.
All back home to Hoylake after a memorable day. Highlights were the excitement of seeing Mo
we played
Salah's...
those clips in the beginning. So, what is Priti Patel going to do about it? She's
going to give back the taxpayers' money? Make the hotels give it back? Make the migrants pay? You can't really, unless you put them in jail and say, give me all your cash money.
So, from August 7th, furious Priti Patel backs sending the Royal Navy to tackle migrant crisis after 230, including a heavily pregnant woman and a tiny baby, that's nice they had to put that there, are caught making the perilous channel crossing in one day. More migrants have reached Britain already this year than in the entire year of 2019. Nearly 4,000 migrants made the crossing in boats in the first 219 days of a pandemic. Furious, Priti Patel on the 6th said that she backed sending the Royal Navy patrols into the English Channel after a record number of migrants reached Britain, and Nigel Farage is making videos. Officials have been ordered to draw up plans for which, for the first time, the Navy could turn back boats. Yesterday, it was on the 6th, 235 migrants and 17 vessels made the perilous crossing. The highest daily total since the crisis began. They're calling it a crisis. We'll see if she actually does anything about it. Nearly 4,000 migrants made the crossing in small boats in the first 219 days of 2020, compared to 1,850 by this time last year. The crisis is a personal blow for the Home Secretary, who made a pledge last October that crossings would be virtually eliminated by now. What the heck is she doing?
She's specifically allowing them in on purpose. And
the Home
she's a
Office
liar.
source said the final straw was this record number.
Oh, really?
This record number was the final straw because we just expected them to stop on their own.
Mm-hmm.
We just expected it to... If the faucet was on and we expected the faucet to stop leaking water.
All by itself.
Which led the Home Secretary to demand this new initiative. The real solution must come from the French. We want the French to take them back. Last night... Here's the thing. You cannot apply for asylum if you're leaving a safe country. The French don't want them. They're happy to send them on the boats to Britain. They're angry at Britain for leaving the EU, okay? This is their revenge, okay? And everybody else, Angela Merkel, they're all laughing. Last night, sources say Navy vessels could now be turning back boats. Mrs. Patel has told MPs that she has obtained legal advice that such a move would be legal under international maritime law, but the tactic would be highly controversial and risk alienating the French government, which has told Britain it believes it to be illegal to send them back. Other emergency measures being considered by the Home Office include using Navy vessels to block the path of the migrant boats. It is understood smaller military craft would be used rather than larger vessels such as frigates and destroyers. The Royal Marines could play a key role, sources say. British forces could also use nets to entangle propellers or floating booms to block the way for migrant dinghies. Both methods were tested in secret trials in May and June involving the Navy ships and the border force boats. A government source said, "These are all options being considered." This probably should have been considered a long time ago. She has instructed her officials to speak to the Ministry of Defense on how they can proceed. The question is, why didn't she before, and why is it just now? Over here, Breitbart article saying the same things. Patel's predecessor as Home Secretary, Sajid Javid, declared the Channel crossings a major incident as long ago as December 2018. Britain could use a smaller craft. We talked about that. The Home Office claims will likely anger pro-open borders and mass migration activists. The Refugee Council has told Home Secretary Patel to make it easier for migrants to come to Britain. It suggests creating regular routes to the country, including expanding the resettlement program and the so-called humanitarian visas, as well as reforming rules for family reunion, also known as chain migration. Solicitor Hossain has also branded the extreme Patel office, allegedly flagging illegal Channel migrants for expedited return to France. Mr. Hossain told The Guardian on Friday, "Refugees are fleeing death, war, and torture. That is why they are prepared to risk life and limb in death by drowning, imprisonment, and enslavement along the way. In fact, both migrants are virtually all coming from France, which is safe. Under international law, asylum seekers are required to apply for refugee status in the first safe country of landing. Even before leaving French coastal towns like Calais, migrants from Africa, the Middle East, and Asia have traveled through several safe countries before they're taking off to Britain. I mean, it's the last stop before you head on over to America."
Berbaz says, Michelle, also in the news just in on BBC. I think they have had a few migrants actually swam the channel today. Listen, if you swim it, you get to stay.
Yeah, that's true.
If you swim the thing, like, there's got to be some sort of reward for that, I think. I mean, that's in, like, pretty impressive.
Chris Phillip, a minister for immigration compliance and court, said, according to the Mirror on Friday, I share the anger and frustration of the public at the appalling number of crossings we've seen today. The crossings are totally unacceptable and unnecessary as France is a safe country. We will work with France and I will be in Paris early next week to seek to agree on stronger methods. Nigel Farage has been on the forefront exposing this. Love Nigel. And France wants $20 million, I read today, to combat this.
Oh.
Extortion is what I
that doesn't really even sound like a lot of money for something like this.
Yeah, but still, like, $20 million, I think it's wrong.
I do too.
Bojo! What does Bojo say? I don't know. I think coronavirus took him back like a couple decades.
No, it really did.
I don't think he's
sad.
with it.
I don't think he's quite himself.
He almost died, and I just do not think that he is... I don't think he's mentally here, like, honestly. Boris Johnson facing a public opinion ticking time bomb if he fails to cut migration. Migration Watch UK said that while the opinion of the British public is split on the issue of migration, with the majority still holding negative views on its impact, there could be a spike in opposition if Boris Johnson's proposed migration system opens the floodgates to overseas workers. While public opinion may have become less negative about immigration, that could turn around very sharply if the government's new system were to allow numbers to run out of control again. Indeed, the most negative reaction is likely to be amongst those who actually voted for the government. What I'm seeing from this conservative government is just more of the same.
Yeah.
More of the same. What I
find about this thing so interesting is that we are in the age of a pandemic where they're locking people in their homes, they're forcing people to wear masks, millions are without work, businesses that have been in business for 20 years are having to shut down. We're supposed to social distance. You can't hardly have a wedding with more than 5 people. You can't have funerals. All of this stuff. So if there was ever a time to crack down on migrants coming in, these people could literally just tout COVID and say, you can't come, the boats must stop, right? We can't spread diseases. So what I'm saying is, if they really wanted to stop the migrants from coming in, they are without an excuse. They have every valid reason now, especially since COVID, to be able to do it, and they're not.
So the reason the Royal Navy would be needed is because the Union for Borders, Immigration and Customs, the ISU, said the border force officials are ill-equipped to handle dangerous situations and possible violence from migrants attempting to cross the channel legally. They're designed for rescue, not incarceration, said Lucy Morton, the professional officer of the ISU. Commenting to the Telegraph, an assessment at odds with the public's perception of the border force existing to enforce national borders. If you do returns at sea, that would be something that the military would have to be involved in, because even then, I'm not convinced it would be safe. But they are far better equipped than us. She warned that migrants might violently fight back against border force officials. Morton said that because some of the small rubber boats carry up to 40 migrants at a time, they could possibly overwhelm the border force cutter boats, which are already understaffed to comply with social distancing requirements. The vessels also lack any area such as a brig to detain a large number of migrants. The Border Force Union rep also explained that returns at sea could also result in protests in France or civil unrest if you try to return them. That's why the French don't do it. Essentially an admission that the authorities are failing to act because they fear criminal retribution on the part of illegal migrants. They are afraid of how people will react, how these young men will react if they don't let them in. Now, why would you let people in that you're afraid of how they will act? Home Secretary Priti Patel is reportedly trying to secure a deal with her French counterparts that would see migrants immediately return to France. I don't think it's going to happen. Rather than being brought ashore to Britain.
What would be so wrong with the UK returning them to their country of origin? If you've done something illegal in a country,
I know,
right? What happened? Your punishment is up to that country,
right?
Especially if your country doesn't have, like, let's say, an ambassador. Maybe they do. I don't know. But I would think if you get a direct flight home, Or if planes don't land where you lived, you get a direct flight and then a boat and then, one of those vans where there's goats in the back and stuff. So you're getting a trip home.
Britain's equivalent to the FBI, the National Crime Agency, said that one of the reasons for the increased flow of migrants is that people smuggling gangs have dramatically dropped their prices for providing passage across the channel in small rowboats. It's all about sale, clearance, okay? The NCA's head of operations for organized immigration crime, Steve Reynolds, said that the people smuggling gangs had dropped their price per head to as little as £500. Reynolds said that the traffickers have developed different options, including deluxe packages, as well as second-hand rubber boat options, and even confirmed reports that some migrants are being given kayaks to make their Paris journey. We saw that one, right? There's a broader range of pricing now than there was before. It used to be commonly figures of £2,000 to £4,000, but now you have higher and lower. It's a diversity, which is an indication of more people relying on this method of entry because other ways are more limited and they find this works for them. There are more people getting in. There are more migrants. The more people will present themselves as facilitators. The organized immigration crime chief warned that because the gangs have established a method of successfully transporting migrants into the United Kingdom, it may not go back to where it was. And it may be firmly entrenched in the minds of the people smugglers. And I'm just wondering if these are people smugglers, if these are gangs. Mm-hmm. Why don't you see it as a crime? UK suspected people smuggling gang busted an illegal boat migrant probe. This is from the 26th of July. The UK arrested 11 people suspected of being involved in people smuggling gang. Police in Britain raided 12 properties in London and Sheffield where they seized £150,000 in cash, 2 vehicles, and arrested 11 people. The operation was carried out by the Immigration Enforcement, Criminal and Financial Investigations Force. Those arrested are believed to have been involved in an organized criminal gang that financially supported the illegal boat crossings and actively assisted migrants entering the UK. So these people, when they come and they land, this is a whole system. This isn't just people in Cuba trying to get on a boat fleeing Castro. Right. People are paying money. They're paying money to gangs.
I know.
Okay. And then at the end of it, they get to go to the Premier Football League and they get pizza and fish and chips. You're literally helping and funding criminal people trafficking. And I just wonder why everybody's turning a blind eye. Like, to me, I guess I do want to hear. I want to hear from somebody defend this. Explain to me why you let criminal gangs run people smuggling. They're gang members.
So it all goes back to honestly, those, Agenda 21, globalism, whatever it is. I think that we're close to hitting on the target for why they want.
Why can't they do what Australia did?
We've hit the nail on the head.
Australia said if you come here on a boat, you're going back to your country of origin. That's it. You're not coming here. Australia said no. Why can't the UK?
Good question.
Australia said no, and they stopped. They stopped coming.
I think that it all has to do with their plans for destruction.
Migration Watch says 7,000 illegal boat migrants will reach the UK by Christmas. And I really honestly don't want to do this segment, but I am. Because sometimes there are...
Barry wants me to play this video. He actually just sent the link. It's an RT video.
Okay.
About Priti Patel. So we're going to play this.
Sorry, it was 30 million that France wants.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a nice face, Nigel. All right, we can't play all 20 minutes. You're going to have to tell me where you want me to play.
I'm Chris Feeney for RT.
Or I can just play a little
and
bit.
we're here investigating the controversy around asylum seekers, or as some people are calling them, illegal immigrants, being housed in the UK in 3- and 4-star hotels. There's very little being done about it. The mainstream media is not investigating it. So we've come here to Epping, a town in Essex, 17 miles northeast of London, to this hotel, the Bell Hotel, where these asylum seekers are being housed. We're going to try and go inside, speak to some people, get some questions answered, and find out what's happening.
What's happening?
Are you staying here?
No speak English.
No speak English?
Yes.
Or Arabic?
Yes.
Where do you come from?
Kuwait.
Kuwait, I see. Are you wanting to stay in the UK?
Hell.
Here, you're staying in the hotel?
Hotel, yes.
I see. And is it good here, or?
What?
Is it that good?
Good.
Yeah, you like it?
Good, very good.
He's got a North Face shirt
It's
on.
no good in Kuwait?
No good, problem.
Problem, I see.
Yes.
Okay. And when did you come here?
1 month, sir.
1 month, I see. How did you come? By plane, by boat, by car? How did you come to the UK?
Here?
Yeah, how? By plane? Plane? Sea?
No, boat.
Boat.
Yes.
These reporters,
we're trying to get in, but of course we don't want it in there. I mean, we can see movement in some of the buildings, but no one's coming to the reception. We did try to inquire about booking a room via email, and they told us that they're not accepting bookings at the moment. But clearly the hotel's open.
Here's the deal about this. You're probably not going to have anybody at reception. Because if you're opening it up almost like it's an apartment complex, you don't need anyone at the reception desk to do anything. You have your room. It's like an apartment. They're probably not even using the cleaners. You know what I mean? This is just literally your place to stay.
Because we can actually see lights inside as well. We can see all these windows open with laundry. We can hear noises inside, so there's clearly people staying here. So the hotel is not closed. And we have spoken to one resident so far. I mean, there's voices inside.
Okay, and then go to the bathroom.
Well, he's just giving it back.
Well, I mean, yeah, we kind of get the point, right?
All right.
UK is very nice, it's good. Yeah.
But how did you come here? Did you come by plane, by boat, by the car?
Yeah, I come this, my wife and kids.
Want to stay here, yes?
Yeah.
And is that the government is helping, or?
No, this a little bit helping the homeland.
The homeland, the home office.
Home office, yeah.
They're helping you to
very
stay.
Nice. It's always helping here.
Helping you to stay. Yes.
Yeah.
And how is the hotel? Is the hotel good?
Hotel is good, very nice. Yeah.
Good food?
Yes, good.
Good food. And is it expensive? Do you have to pay a lot, or?
No, I no pay this home office all the pay the eating or all this.
They pay for it.
Yeah.
And are you allowed to take a job or work, or?
No job or work.
So how do you what do you do during the day? You're not boring being inside all the time?
Yeah, that's it. I playing. This here. This I here in room. My son is here in little bit speaking here. My wife and son is.
But these must be long inside all day, huh?
Yeah.
Must be very long, huh?
Yeah.
And do you know any of the people here, or are you all friends, or did you
No,
meet here?
I don't know this a friend here.
You don't know anybody?
Yeah. This alone is here.
We've come around the side. We've managed to find an open door, so we're going to go into the hotel and see if we can speak to someone about what's going on here as well. Get some more answers. So are you you're staying in the hotel, yeah?
Yeah, I do.
And are you coming to live in the UK, or are you living here?
Yeah. We are here to live in UK.
And where did you come from?
I'm from Iraq, North Iraq. 2 months, two and a half.
Okay.
2.5 months.
And did you come? A lot of people are coming by the boat. Did you come by the boat, or did you come?
No. Through the airport.
Oh, through the airport.
Yeah,
I see.
Yeah.
And are you hoping to remain here? And you want to work here? You want to live?
Yeah.
And how's it going with the government? Are they helping, or is it difficult?
They are helping. Yes, they are helping.
They're helping. Yes.
They are helping. Yeah.
Yeah. And why do you want to come to the UK? What is it about the UK that?
What is the reason?
Yeah.
Well, there is many reasons. I don't know. You don't know what's going on in Middle East?
Oh, of course,
Do you know what happened to the Iraq, Syria, Libya, those countries? No one is safe.
Runs those countries?
And everything has been destroyed except the oil company. They are safe. Group of gang has been empowered and supported by Europe, except the normal civil. Those gang are in power, powerful, they have everything, but the normal civil have nothing. And they are all has been supported by European Union and America. Lots of machines, company, digging for gold, digging for everything. And sorry.
Okay. I think people are trying to understand, so it's good for people to see this and understand, what's happening.
I am Kurdish. I have my own cultures, I have my own language. We are biggest people in Middle East. We are over 70 million without country. And Europe, when I'm saying Europe, all Europe, including England, they have been separated us. They never let us to create our own country, to have our own country. Do you think this is fair? Over 70 million people cannot have their own country, cannot have their own identity.
We could listen to this all day long. I want to give a comment on that. And actually, as I'm listening to this guy, I actually do see him more as a refugee. Because he is not in the Muslim majority in Iraq or in some of these other Middle Eastern countries. But, war for oil, oil for war, the answer is not to bring everybody into the United States or into Europe. The answer is to get us out. And that, I'm going to say, plug a little bit here for Donald Trump. We're leaving. You guys, it's up to you. But here's the thing. America and Britain did a huge job to Iraq. And so that was an ugly thing. And I think these countries do owe something to some way. And I don't have answers for this because they've tried to help bring, George Bush said we're going to bring democracy. You can't bring democracy. Democracy, you can't bring a republic. It swells up from amongst the people, and it comes from Christianity. It doesn't come from Kurdish religion. It doesn't come from Islam. True, good government comes from Christian principles, where we're all created equal. Under Islam, we are not all created equal. Okay?
But I think it's more than that. Like, yes, there have been wars in the Middle East forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But the way that this guy was speaking was that what's happening now is a somewhat recent destruction and development. And I think that as much as we are patriotic to our countries, whether you're in the UK or the United States or somewhere in Europe, whatever, we have to acknowledge what our nations have done. It's the same thing that China is doing in Africa. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. And we are fighting wars, and all the wars are over oil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when Patriot Gallery comes on and she talks about horses and buggies and how evil cars are, and everybody's kind of like, well, but why? That doesn't make any sense. In order for us to have the automobiles that we do, and it's not white supremacy, it's just westernized supremacy. We live it. You need to own it. You need to acknowledge it, and you need to say it's wrong and it's evil, okay? Because if we weren't fighting wars for oil, and if we weren't able to get oil as cheap as we have, if we haven't gone over and literally destroyed entire countries for this oil, we wouldn't be able to live the lifestyles that we currently live. We wouldn't drive as many places as we drive. We wouldn't get new cars all the time. We'd be like Cuba, all right? So we need to understand that we are culpable. We are responsible. It's wrong. And so when you look at these people that are flooding the nations, I'm guilty of it too, especially someone like this Kurdish man, and you want to just hate on them, and you want to just say it's so wrong that they're doing this, and then you're literally on the side of like the emperor saying we were okay in doing everything that we did, and how dare you be upset about it, and how dare you try to flee this area that we raped and pillaged.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, we have to look at all sides. Otherwise, you have your head in the sand and you are a heartless stone.
We do have to look at all sides. But just on the numbers there with France, Britain has already paid $100 million to stop the boats coming in the last 6 years. However, 4,000 came in this year, so it's they want the UK to cough up more money. Let me see. I want to go over a couple of these.
Jim West says, I think we do owe aid to nations that we have pillaged oil from and destroyed. I can see why they hate the West sometimes. Barry actually retracted a comment that he was leaving, saying that he kind of disagrees, and I'm going to disagree with your disagreeing of your retracted comment here, and that is the fact that it's not just OPEC, it's not just oil prices. They don't tell you. George W. Bush, okay?
He didn't tell you that we started a war in Iraq just for oil.
It's not about oil prices. We're literally going into these nations and destroying them over oil. We couldn't care less. We're not trying to bring democracy. It's not a bleeding heart mission.
There were no weapons of mass destruction. We put Saddam in, and we wanted to take him out.
Right.
However, Barry, don't get your panties in a wad, because I'm going to show the other side of having certain of these migrants coming in. How just two wrongs don't make a right. Can we say that?
Yes.
Can we say that?
Right.
Swedish court overturns a child rapey's conviction of the Afghan migrants.
Oh, my accent's gonna work today.
Swedish. I don't think mine does actually either.
Okay, we tried.
The Swedish appeals court has overturned an Afghan migrant's conviction for the child rape, ruling that he did not know that the girl's real age despite inputting it when ordering her a bus ticket. The Afghan man, who was in his 20s, was convicted of raping a 13-year-old girl earlier this year and sentenced to 1.5 years in prison, a fine and deportation. 1.5 years in prison. The ruling by Gotha Court of Appeal has completely overturned the sentence and ordered the migrant to be set free. The court said it has not proven that he did not know the actual age of the girl. According to court records, the Afghan met the child on the social media and arranged to meet her in person, buying her a bus ticket. The minor later came to the man's residence, and the pair, blah, 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 the later reported the Afghan for a rape. The migrant claimed he did not know the girl's age, but she testified in court that she had repeatedly told the migrant how old she was. When ordering the bus ticket, the migrant put down her real age as 13 and said it was nearly a coincidence that he wrote 13. Oh, okay. But in Sweden, we let the rapies go free. So we just got a lot of mess going on there. I just can't. I'm not even gonna get into that because I got more. The Sweden officers, a gang of members who has shot a child, are the victims too. The Swedish police officer has claimed that the gang members who shot dead a 12-year-old girl caught in the crossfire last weekend were the victims too. Martin Laser, a police officer in the municipality of Bokoreka, where the deadly shooting took place, said that he felt the incident was a failure on all parts of Swedish society. The Swedish society. Many people now want to focus on the visible part of the iceberg, actions from people who lack empathy and morality. But these individuals are in fact the victims. They lacked the right conditions from day one in life, as the violence was closer at hand than anything else. These people usually lack an honest relationship with their parents and have a little community in their families. No kidding. Many criminal gangs, particularly in the Stockholm region, are led by migration background individuals. On Monday, 2 migrant gangs came to blows in Borås with at least one or more of the estimated 20 individuals armed with knives. 4 people were injured and treated to a local hospital as a result of the brawl. It was believed to have been between one gang composed of Arabs and another of Somalians and Eritreans. Not the Swedes. No Swedes for gangs. We talk about that. The Vikings are over. Police press spokesman Peter Alderson commented on the incident, saying, "Some of them had received knife wounds. One had a cut in the face, the other in the back. Gang warfare, which often involves shootings and bombings in Sweden, remains a major problem in Sweden. Gang crime has not shown any signs of slowing down this year. Indeed, a report from April claimed that shootings in 2020 between January 1st and April 15th had increased over the previous year." But I have more and more for you.
Oh dear.
Swedish police. Civilians, the police and civilians are working at the no-go area police station are actually getting escorts. The police are getting escorts. You know you're bad. You know you're in a bad situation when the police are getting police escorts. The Swedish police and the civilian workers at the police station in the no-go Stockholm suburb of Rinkeby will receive police escorts to and from the building to maintain their safety. I thought police were supposed to maintain the safety. The workers at the newly built police station, I believe because the previous one was attacked, have previously expressed concern that locals, criminals, and youths might follow them home or slash their tires. As the new station is set to open, police have decided to enact evening patrols to escort workers to and from the station. Jorgen Olsen, the station's project manager, said the patrols could include escorting workers to the local metro and standing watch outside. Security is something that we keep a track of, and we have solutions to use if the situation changes. The new police station is set to open September 1st, with officers moving there from their current location in nearby Solna. The Rinkeby police station has faced several problems during the development in recent years, including construction companies failing to bid on the project in 2017 because many said it was too dangerous for workers. Nobody even I don't want it. I don't want the job. Nope. We don't want the job. Even police officers anonymously came forward with concerns, with one saying it's too dangerous for to build a police station in this area.
Why does it have to? The fact that they have to anonymously come forward?
No.
I'm a police officer.
No. This line doesn't make sense. It's too dangerous to build a police station in this area.
I know, but I'm focusing on this part. The fact that that they cannot come forward with their own name. That's awful.
It would have to be guarded around the clock. This is because not only is there a risk of theft, but also the danger and a threat to the staff who will be working on the construction project. Later, just a year later, the construction site was attacked when masked men rammed a car through the site's gates and then set the vehicle on fire. The attackers also threw rocks and fireworks at a security guard. Rinkeby is located near several other vulnerable areas.
Build a police station. Someone has erected a country within your country.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You need to round them up and send them back to where they came from. Okay? If we were to do that in our town, just all of a sudden become so chaotic and not allow the police in, they're going to come in and they're going to kick us out even if we've been here our whole lives. Okay? Much less people that moved there that are from out of the country. It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. But speaking of these hotels that are housing migrants,
now we're going to France.
A French hotel commandeered to house asylum seekers is now unusable due to damage.
You mean these people are going in there and they're not treating it real nice? Like the Girl Scout rule, leave it better than when you arrived?
A hotel in this French commune of Forbach that was used to house asylum seekers has become so damaged that it is no longer used as a hotel. The former Ibis Hotel was initially requisitioned by the French government to house asylum seekers and their families in 2017. Only in the last week has the government ended its requisition and made the asylum seekers leave. The damage to the hotel has been extensive. According to Andre Hines, head of the Hines Real Estate and Hotels Group that owns the property, Mr. Hines says it could cost as much as about $2 million to renovate the building. I wonder if they got that much from the government to house the migrants there. You think they got $2 million? It is a project that would last 18 to 24 months, about 2 years. In all of this, we have been through nothing but suffering. The state commandeered our property when the hotel industry was doing well and returned it to us in the midst of a COVID crisis in a dismal state. The residents of the neighborhood are also reportedly relieved that the asylum seekers are leaving the area. Many reported excessive noise coming from the building and sanitary issues. The building was also infested with cockroaches, which affected neighboring buildings. For the past 2 weeks, we've been living in our neighborhood again, one local said. Hotels have been commissioned by various countries. We talked about this. So that didn't go so well. So hotel owners getting a few dimes here and there right now. Take heed when you're not making so much money.
But don't you think the reason why he's bringing that up and the total is be like, excuse me, we need more money because you had us house these people and they did damage, and so now we need that $2 million.
Well, we don't know. If the French government commandeered his, we don't know if he got paid.
That's a very good question.
Right?
I'm going to guess he did get paid, though.
I don't know.
If he didn't get paid, then the French need to pay him the $2 million to honestly. You know, if the government is going... I mean, what is this? It reminds me of, like, the Civil War.
Well, and guess what?
Where the government comes and tells you, like, your hotel has to house...
It reminds me of...
migrants.
The government... One of the things on the Declaration of Independence said, and they quartered troops in our homes. It should be illegal to commandeer any property, to quarter anybody in.
Right.
Period.
Regardless of who owns it. Like, if it's a corporation or an individual. Like,
we're going to Germany. We got to go to Germany.
Oh, our hats don't work.
Yes, the Antifa is preparing violence on the police and political opponents, says the German authorities. German security authorities have claimed that members of the far-left Antifa movement are preparing attacks on police officers and political opponents. I am shocked.
Shocking.
Shocked, I tell you. I couldn't have written this myself, not knowing anything. The Antifa movement in Germany and its 50 supporting groups. Now, Antifa actually has its roots in Germany, by the way. And it's a long story, but they're not anti-fascist, okay? They were communists against Hitler, okay? It's just 10 of one, 20 of another. 20 and 20. The Antifa movement in Germany and its 50 supporting groups across the country are becoming increasingly more violent, according to a report from the Federal Criminal Police Office. Go figure. It's like a disease. It's like spreading, like Michelle said. Authorities are concerned over allegations that some German Antifa members have traveled to northern Syria to undertake training. Now, that is actually legit a thing. They posted pictures. Antifa have posted pictures from around the world going to Syria to receive ISIS. Well, actually, I thought it was ISIS training, but this is left-wing Kurdish militia.
It doesn't matter if they are going to other countries to be trained in, like, military-style tactics to come back. They're terrorists.
So it was the PKK. Breitbart London had reported on Antifa links to the terrorist Kurdistan Workers' Party, the PKK, in the past in Germany. In 2018, Antifa extremists admitted to firebombing a Turkish mosque in Kassel, linked to the far-right Turkish Grey Wolves, an enemy of the PKK. Earlier this year, Hamburg constitutional judge Cornelia Gatten-Lange was linked to both Antifa and the PKK, having given lectures that at the Antifa Rothflora squat on representing PKK terror group members. Isn't that great? You had a judge, constitutional judge in Germany. In June in Austria, members of the Grey Wolves clashed with both Antifa and the members of the PKK in Vienna in the heavily populated Favoriten district. These conflicts are imported from Turkey, says Chancellor Sebastian Kurz, like him from Austria. If you need street fights, you should do it in Turkey. But there is no place for it in Austria, he says. So we'll see. Wow. We'll see where that goes.
Redneck says they're not anti-fascist. They are just criminals and terrorists, and they need to be dealt with as such. Very well said. Barry says, Michelle, also hotels used by the government were used by tourists to bring in cash to the local economy. So what happens to the local area now that the tourists have stopped coming because of the migrants? Excellent point.
Really great point. I don't like commenting or reporting on any sort of child abuse, but Christy Alley, she's been really tweeting out against child sex trafficking lately. She's just really angry about it, and
as are most people.
I think that but I don't know. I think that most people are afraid of it. Rather than, I think we have to distance ourselves.
Well, I've gotten a lot of the same big videos and articles from a couple of different people recently that really were unaware, and they're like, now that I know about this, I'm really upset.
So, but what we have to do is when we report on this, you can't just bury your head, but you do have to separate yourself emotionally and talk about it as if it is a car accident or a bombing, and mentally do that so that you can report on it.
Yes.
So that you can get it out there, so that you can stop it. Because if it's something that is so ugly and untouchable, the victims will continue to be victimized.
Yep.
Okay? So delicately talking about child abuse is what we have to do, but we have to take them on full force. And this article drove me to a place where I was pretty angry, so I'm going to share it with you. Ex-Labor MP.
I have no idea what this article is. I'm getting ready to be upset.
I'm not going to give you details. Ex-Labor MP is spared jail despite extreme child porn conviction. Former Labor MP who had multiple convictions for assault was spared jail despite being found guilty for possessing the worst kind of child abuse pornography. On Friday, Judge Mr. Justice Edis at Ipswich Crown Court handed 59-year-old Eric Joyce an 8-month prison sentence, which was suspended for 2 years for making an indecent image of a child. He was ordered to attend 18-day rehabilitation activity. 18 days. Pay prosecution costs of £1,800 and ordered to undertake 150 hours of unpaid work, and received a sexual harm prevention order. The former shadow minister of Northern Ireland had been told at an earlier hearing his offense crossed the custody threshold, and Judge Peters saying in July, it's going to be a question of whether it's immediate or suspended. Joyce was the MP for Falkirk from 2000 to 2015. He served the first 12 of those years as a Labour MP before becoming an independent. Police arrested him in 2018 and found on one of his electronic devices a horrible thing of a child. I'm not going to go into that. Children that were very young, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the offense took place in August 2013. This was not the first time Joyce was convicted. In 2015, he was found guilty of 2 counts of common assault against 2 boys, 14 and 15. This was not a sexual account, but he did throw one to the ground and pinning him by the throat. In 2012...
So he has a history of violence as well.
2012, he pleaded guilty to 4 counts of assault by beating after headbutting and throwing punches at a conservative lawmaker. You can't touch me, I'm an MP.
Which goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where these people literally feel like they are above everything.
He was in the Army, and he joined in 1977 and reached the rank of an Army Major. Wow. However, during his 21-year career, Joyce had come to blows with the military. The Army suspended him in 1998 after deeming him unemployable. He still was elected by Labour voters. According to a BBC report from 2012, Joyce had claimed while serving in uniform that an army was snobbish and rife with racism and sexism. So, there's a lot packed into this article.
Now, you said, and you were doing an excellent job, I believe, thank you, for of not going into the details, but it said he had created an image.
He had created an image, so he had obviously...
When I think of that, because I'm a techie,
a child.
I think to myself, you like creating a meme or something, like taking an image that already exists and creating it or something. But what this is talking about, and I think that wording is misleading, is they should have said taken illicit, awful photos of children and then like whatever he did with them after, uploading them or something like that. I think that the word creating there is intensely misleading.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I feel like in order to give these kids justice,
don't go into
the best thing to do is not to go into details and just say they were violently abused or hurt. And if you do not punish these adults, who obviously he was in the Army, he knew right and wrong. If you don't punish people with the most severe punishments, then what you're telling children, and we're seeing this, and we've seen this in the UK. Child abuse is okay in the UK, and it's not okay. And somebody has to stand up, because we've seen with Jerry, what was his name? Not Jerry, not you know, the guy, the gray-headed guy, the television guy, Seville. And then there's all kinds of documentaries about MPs trading children around. And
that's why, here's the deal though, that is why they don't get punished, because when you punish one, then you've created a precedent that all the others that know that they are guilty, if it comes to them, they don't want to be punished, and so they have to allow everyone off scot-free, because when it gets down to the line, they want to be able to say, but that's the punishment that person got.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
So what you were about to say is, it says to the children that they don't matter,
right?
That, you know, bad things can happen to them, and the adult's life of being free from jail and justice is far more important than the life-altering abuse
but
that was
not
done to
serving
them.
prison time is what we have to go after. Former labor counselor, this was last week and I didn't share it, but it goes along with it. I just kind of touch on it a little bit. Former labor counselor avoids jail after downloading over 300,000 indecent images of children.
Barry says, Michelle, in the UK law, creating an image is basically downloading it and reposting it from his understanding. So I don't know. I didn't read the article as you had it up there, but I'm assuming that he actually was partaking in taking pictures of
But I don't
children.
know.
We don't know.
Roger Spackman, 50, who was a labor counselor and executor of city council until he was arrested in 2017, was found to have almost 300,000 indecent images across 68 devices. And they were the worst kind of things you could imagine, as young as 7 years old. And he pled guilty to 3 counts of making, and as Barry pointed out, making indecent images, and 2 counts of possessing prohibited or extreme images. He claimed that the abuse he suffered as a child was a motivating factor behind his pedophilic impulses. He said, Spackman will most likely avoid serving time in prison, however, as he was handed a 10-month prison sentence, which was suspended for 2 years. That means that if he aids by the conditions of his sentence, he will remain free. Judge Peter Johnson did mandate that Spackman be added to the sex offenders register. I'm glad that is zing. You're just going to see, and then UK Rochdale rapist jailed after police find children, child-sized things. It says the reason for the over approximately 9 years you were receiving a large number of these images, the reason for this appears that you were abused as a child and have demons that have possessed you.
It doesn't matter. Here's the deal.
You have bared your soul to complete strangers to explain how you came to these images. In essence, you were undertaking some form of therapeutic role play in which others invited you to take part of the victim and sent you indecent photographs to assist you in role play. What is troubling is the huge and remarkable number of images, not the images themselves. I really feel that there is such a... Okay. He's 50 years old, man. Enough is enough.
I don't remember who I was listening to the other day, but they made an excellent point that I think it was the video. I don't know if you guys are sharing. Yes, of this guy. He's a producer in Hollywood. He worked on Hunger Games and stuff like that, and he did this video the other day, and it's going viral. And one of the things that he said was, listen, when children are abused sexually, if they don't have someone in their lives that intervenes to actually show them love and compassion, they often grow up to become perpetrators themselves. Now, so if you bring it back to the origin of both children were abused, one had someone show them love, one did not, one grew up to be a perpetrator, one did not, okay? The abuse that happened to them is equally atrocious. The abuse that happened to them did contribute and make them who they were. It's gonna affect them in different ways depending on who intervened and who didn't, right? The reason why we have to punish the one who becomes the perpetrator is to protect society. All right? So it's not just to say you might be able to remove some guilt, because that thing that happened to him never should have happened to him, and likely, had it not, he would not have become. You can say that about actually most people that become criminals, okay? If they weren't abused as a child in some manner or whatever, if they weren't neglected, they wouldn't have grown up, right? Now, most of those criminals still grow up and they become an adult. They know right from wrong and they should be punished. They should always actually be punished. But my point is, even if you take it so far as to say that's awful that happened to you, and yes, that you probably did do that because that happened to you, but because you did it, we have to protect society from you.
If somebody...
It's that simple.
Yeah, exactly. We have to protect society from you.
It's that simple. It boils down to that. We can't just feel sorry for people and let them on the loose just because something bad happened to them. That's awful. I'm sorry. Let's go find the criminal that hurt you. You can be in prison together. I'm just kidding. But I mean, seriously, it boils down to protecting society. You have to protect society. So yes, it was wrong. If he was abused as a child, I'm so sorry that made you turn into an abuser as well. The person that abused you is now responsible for your abuse and all these other ones. Okay? But you're still responsible. And it not just the buck, but it has to stop somewhere.
Yeah, I think that there is definitely there's a special time frame for for intervention with kids who have been abused, and we have to look at that, and we have to dive right in. And to give you some good news, we're friends with a guy. We're friends with people who are friends with Tim Ballard. And when they go and rescue these sex traffic victims, they go through intense counseling and love.
Operation Underground Railroad.
Yeah, it's really important because you can't just throw somebody away. Say, well, you were abused, and now you're automatically going to become an abuser. We have to give therapy, but if we don't talk about this, then people won't get therapy. We have to get it out in the open. We have to get people into programs. We have to get adults into programs. We have to be able to address this stuff head on and not just put our heads in the sand.
Right.
Okay. And we have to, in my opinion, you have to ban all pornography because it all traces back to some sort of abuse.
Yep.
Okay. And we know for a fact that these people start out with just softcore pornography and then hardcore pornography and then gay pornography, and then they go down the trail to the worst of the worst.
Right.
You've got to ban all internet pornography. All right.
Every testimonial I've ever heard of a child of child porn or an actual person that became a rapist or whatever, you can say they're liars. I don't care. But they all say they started with regular porn.
Right.
And then it went worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Mom would say, let's move on. Okay. Ricky Gervais blasts cancel culture. Getting people fired is not cool. British comedian and creator of The Office and The Afterlife, Ricky Gervais continued his assault on cancel culture, saying that it is not cool to try to get people fired over supposedly offensive statements. Kind of very interesting there. The longtime defender of freedom of speech said that everyone's got a different definition of cancel culture, but noted that the pernicious form of the modern day mob tactic is when people target people's livelihoods.
Right.
If in choosing not to watch a comedian because you don't like them, that's everyone's right. But when people are trying to get someone fired because they don't like their opinions about something, that's nothing to do with their job. That's what I call cancel culture, and that's not cool. You're turning off your own TV. TV isn't censorship. You trying to get other people to turn off their TV because you don't like something they're watching, that's different. Possibly alluding to the Count Dankula scandal, in which the regional government fined the Scottish comedian for jokingly recording his girlfriend's, now wife's, pug dog doing a Nazi salute. Gervais warned that jokes are in danger of being criminalized if the cancel culture is in the cancel culture climate. Everyone's allowed to call you everyone's allowed to stop watching your stuff. Everyone's allowed to burn your DVDs, but you shouldn't have to go to court for saying a joke that someone doesn't like. And that's what we get dangerously close to. If you don't agree with someone's right to say something you don't agree with freedom of speech. Remember in July, he said that today's hostile environment against comedy would make creating The Office impossible.
Everything I watch now that's old.
We
are constantly going, can't make that now. Couldn't make that now. You can't make that now. It's like...
Right.
And with that, you are erasing history from the minds of the public.
Yeah.
It's really scary.
All right, so Michelle, go ahead and, if you wouldn't mind, bringing up
all of the Beirut videos.
The Beirut videos. I'm going to go ahead and allow ads on this page. Blah, blah, blah. Where did the blast in Lebanon come from? There's a lot of theories there. I don't believe it's fireworks. We do know that
I don't believe it's fireworks.
We do know, supposedly, that a Russian tanker was commandeered by the Lebanese government and was sitting there with all this explosive nitrate.
Ammonium nitrate.
Thank you. And what they don't know exactly, from what I understand, is how it decided to explode on its own.
Spontaneously combusted.
Authorities were warned about the chemical 4 times this year. The last warning came just hours before the port was flattened. So I'm going to show you guys.
It's not funny. I shouldn't laugh. I mean, they Go ahead, keep going.
Nearly 3,000 tons of highly flammable ammonium nitrate that caused last week's disastrous explosion in Lebanon didn't languish forgotten in the years after an alarm was first raised. A warning was sent to the Public Works Ministry the very day Beirut's port blew up, and at least 3 other times this year, shunted from office to office in a deadly game of pass the nitrate, documents said. As reported earlier, custom officials first warned about the chemicals in 2016, 3 years after the ship carrying it had been impounded by the Lebanese authorities for not settling port fees. And its volatile cargo was put into storage. But the warnings that it could have heated off the mysterious August 4th explosion that killed 156 people, wounded thousands, and displaced hundreds of thousands didn't stop there. Documents provided by the Office of the Prime Minister show that interest in the cargo intensified this year for reasons that are unclear. We'll delve into this. We'll figure it out eventually. On January 27th, State Security asked to investigate the storage of the ammonium nitrate at the port, and 5 months later, instructed by the government commissioner at the military court to deal with the matter. The military court, which was approached because of the substance's highly explosive nature, responded that it was not its jurisdiction. On May 28th, State Security contacted the public prosecutor about the dangerous cache and was ordered to liaise with port authorities. On July 20th, the file was sent to Diab and asked the Higher Defense Council to look into it. The council referred it on July 24th to the Public Works Ministry, the entity responsible for port operations. The Public Works Ministry received the file, and you can see how it was passed the buck. Outrage against the government. We're going to show you. People are really upset because it looks and it appears that the government allowed this to happen, and they are under fire, literally, for failing to take action to reverse this horrible action. But also they have this a financial meltdown this year in recent months, and it's boiled up into violent protests. We're going to show you some of those. With the estimated price tag at the damage somewhere between $5 billion and $15 billion, global leaders on Sunday took part in a video conference meant to drum up emergency aid, hosted by the United Nations and Lebanon's former colonial power of France, Emmanuel Macron. He was there within 48 hours. And I'm just going to touch a little bit on this because you have this former colonial power coming in with this white supremacy, and people are actually begging Macron to get rid of their terrorist government, which is Hezbollah. It's a very interesting touch and go here because the United States wants to sanction, United States sanctions Hezbollah, I believe. Macron wants to make sure that there are no further sanctions and the sanctions are lifted because somehow that plays into Iran's hands, even though Iran is funding Hezbollah. It's a crazy, weird thing. And
hang on. Let me read this comment from Dale because he had a really good point, but now that you bring in the French, the same point would apply to both, I think. Dale says, well, the Chinese have offered to rebuild the port, so that is probably the best place to start to see who caused it. I would apply that to if the French are rushing in.
So this is from the J-Post. I just want to let you guys know, the Jerusalem Post. Lebanon protests, Macron visit highlight absurd EU policy on Hezbollah. Hezbollah, the Iran-backed Shiite terrorist group, has held a firm grip over Lebanon's governing coalition for years, even selecting Hassan Diab as prime minister in January. Watching the protests in Lebanon, we're going to bring some of those up, that rose after the massive explosion in Beirut last week, and seeing videos posted on social media by anguished and frustrated Lebanese people, a clear theme emerges. People are angry, and many of them are pointing fingers at Hezbollah. Let's play some of those videos before I actually go into the rest of this article.
Even if it was an accident, the idea that they are protesting, it's like, well, why did you have that stuff here to start with? I don't think it was an accident.
Okay, so not this one. Don't play this one yet. Okay. Play some of the videos, not the Macron ones. Not that one. Not that one.
We can close that one.
Yeah. So probably start right there.
This one?
Yeah.
Full of international aid, much needed supplies. We saw shipments from Iran, from Greece, and Qatar. Qatar has promised a number of shipments and a field hospital that will be set up to help deal with the thousands of people who were injured as a result of the blast on Tuesday. French President Emmanuel Macron, the first foreign leader to arrive in Beirut, he wanted to be there to tour the blast zone and devastation for himself and also meet with local officials. Now, he has said that he is not there to support the regime and will ensure that French aid doesn't fall into the hands of corruption. That has been a concern for many people, with so many countries pledging help. There are fears that the aid, the medical supplies won't get to those who desperately need it. We now know that roughly 300,000 people in Beirut are without shelter because of that blast on Tuesday. In the meantime, a lot of people are wondering, with Macron now in Beirut, if the foreign community will have any involvement with the investigation into what happened at that port. There are calls for more oversight to ensure that some answers are actually given to people. We know that the government knew that that shipment, that massive supply of ammonium nitrate, was in fact sitting at the port for a number of years, but it appears that the people in Beirut didn't know that it was there. In the meantime, the search effort continues. People continue to scour the rubble, and more people are asking about their loved ones who are still missing. We'll continue to follow the story. You can get more information.
Play the next one next to it.
So these are the protests.
These are the protests. They're mad at their government. They've already
sitting there for years.
The Lebanese government was already in turmoil. They've had a financial kind of meltdown. Tensions are very, very high in Lebanon, and now people are just acting out in ways that are beyond anything sane. You know, if your city was just blown up, you go and you start to rebuild it. You start to love your neighbor, but there's so much anger and there's so much violence. And
it was so not only was the ammonium nitrate a ticking time bomb sitting there.
This Lebanese people were.
Yeah, these people were ready. They were just ready to blow.
So as my friend says here, it's been too much, you know, it's been for years, this has been going on for years and they're not getting the message.
We don't want to change everything.
We are aiming for a change, and we see it coming. We're going to keep on fighting, even if it takes a lot, we will keep on fighting.
The fury. Lebanese riot police fired tear gas at demonstrators trying to break through a barrier to get to the Parliament building in Beirut on Saturday. The protest was over the government's handling of this week's devastating explosion in the city. About 7,000 people gathered in Martyrs Square in the city centre, some throwing stones. Some protesters chanted, "The people want the fall of the regime." The blast in the port killed at least 158 people, injured 6,000, and destroyed a swathe of the city. Footage shot during a boat tour with the Lebanese army on Saturday revealed the scale of the devastation. Some residents struggling to clean up shattered homes complain the government they see as corrupt has let them down again. Several people said they were not surprised that the French President Emmanuel Macron have visited their gutted neighbourhoods near the epicentre of the blast this week, while Lebanese leaders had not. The Prime Minister and Presidency have said 2,750 tonnes of highly explosive ammonium nitrate had been stored for 6 years without safety measures at the port warehouse. President Michel Aoun said on Friday an investigation would examine whether it was caused by a bomb or other external interference. Aoun said the investigation would also weigh if the blast was due to negligence or an accident.
Next. Hezbollah, the Iran Iran-backed Shiite group has held a firm grip over Lebanon's governing coalition for years, even selecting Hassan Diab as a prime minister in January. As a former ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon told the Security Council last year, the port of Beirut, where last week's deadly blast took place, has become Hezbollah's port, used to transfer weapons and financially support the terrorist group as it develops advanced missiles. Over the weekend, Lebanon's demonstrators hung effigies of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah, along with the political leaders who enable him, such as President Michael Aoun and Speaker of Parliament Nabi Berri. When French President Emmanuel Macron visited the site of the blast on Thursday, even as many of Lebanon's political leaders avoided doing so, he was met with crowds shouting revolution and shouting revolution and the people want the fall of the regime as he walked through a Christian district of Beirut. Some shouted, Mr. Macron, free us from Hezbollah. On the one hand, Hezbollah surely feels the heat from the people who clearly have had enough of the destruction, creeping Iranian-backed takeover of their country. It's not hard to connect those dots and view Hezbollah as a prime suspect at this point, if not of an intentional bombing, then of deadly negligence. Nasrallah felt the need to make a laughable claim that Hezbollah did not intervene in Lebanese affairs. In the same television speech on Friday night, Nasrallah denied that Hezbollah controls the port, despite strong evidence to the contrary, or that it kept any explosives there. Hezbollah also kept large stockpiles of ammonium nitrate, the explosive responsible for the huge second blast in the Beirut port, in numerous locales in Europe until Mossad helped the UK, Germany, and Cyprus uncover them in recent years. Hang on just a second. A French babysitter, as analysis Shimrit Mir called Macron's plan to help negotiate the formation of a national unity government in Lebanon along with economic aid will make it much harder for Hezbollah and Iran to have the freedom to continue its destructive vein. At the same time, Europe continues to legitimize Hezbollah. When Macron met with various Lebanese political factions, there was a Hezbollah representative at the table. And this was far from the first time that the government of France was in contact with Hezbollah. Will the national unity government of Macron wants to facilitate include the Iran-backed terror group as well? France is one of the strongest EU member states and the leading country opposing a full ban on Hezbollah, maintaining that there is a separation between its political and military branches. Lies. And the protest and Macron's visit highlight the absurdity of this policy. Never mind that Hezbollah does not consider itself to have two different branches. France doesn't want to fully ban Hezbollah, so they've come up with their own structure for the terrorist organization rather than face the truth. Earlier this year, after finding ammonium nitrate stored in multiple cities, Germany declared a full ban on Hezbollah, defying the EU differentiating. And so this is what I want to explain to people. The reason why they didn't do anything with ammonium nitrate is because they wanted to hang on to it. They confiscated it from the German tanker. They know it's an explosive. This is what they want. This is what they use. This is what they have in large. This is what they want. This is how they have. This is a weapon to them. What are they going to do with it? They didn't know. Let's just keep it there until we need it. Okay? Let's keep it there until we need it, so that we can make bombs and things like that.
I'm still struggling with the idea that it was an accident.
Yeah.
It totally could have been. Obviously, this stuff is so volatile. Do you want me to play the other videos?
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay. It could have been. I'm just saying I'm not buying it exactly.
Yeah.
2 days after a powerful explosion flattened whole neighborhoods, a collective effort to clean up the streets turned into a protest. People are fed up with government corruption. Furious, it appears, negligence led to the explosion. Lebanese officials promised to investigate the cause, but few in Beirut seem to trust them. People want new leadership and an international investigation into the blast. That's the French President Emmanuel Macron. He was in Beirut today to tour the destruction, and he was met with pleas for the world to help. Macron says he supports an independent probe into the blast, and he warns that without change, Lebanon...
Kelly says it was a Russian freighter, not a German one.
Did I say German? I said Russian several times.
You kept saying German.
I said Russian.
And then I heard German.
No, it was Russian. I said Russian several times.
Go back and watch it. No, I'm pretty sure it was German because I kept hearing German too.
That was Russian. I said Russian. I thought Russian. My thought was Russian.
Could run out of food and fuel within months. Lebanon has now begun an official period of national mourning. Funerals are taking place for the victims. At least 137 people are now confirmed to have died and more than 5,000 are injured. There are fears others might be found under the rubble. As Crystal Gamansing reports, there is no way Lebanon can recover from this on its own.
They're chanting, "We will pay our blood and soul for the sake of Beirut." Powerful words that speak to their renewed determination. Average people are focused on moving forward just days after their world was ripped apart.
We cannot keep living in sorrow. We cannot keep living in, we cannot keep depressed. We have to think on what to do.
Fadi Hadros is a Lebanese Canadian. He couldn't believe his eyes after the blast, but he has faith in his people.
You know, in Lebanon, like we have, like each party, each team, each community has their own political views and all this. We all put all of this together, all on a side, and we get united.
But some are still angry. The Lebanese justice minister was heckled on the street and water bottles tossed at her. The mood much different for the French president. The student asked that he deal with the corruption in Lebanon.
They're so
Emmanuel Macron is the first foreign leader to visit following the explosion. Lebanon is a former French colony. He told people aid would get to those who need it, and that need is growing.
We are now trying to see how we could help the survivors.
Pause it there. I'm going to go ahead and play. I want to show you guys some of these pictures here about the blast and just give you an idea of what we know so far. I think you can. I don't know if they can't see. Maybe.
I can make us darker. Hang on. They should be able to see it if I just make us really dark.
Okay. So there's
we're like black, but
grain
they can see
silos, location of blast, Port of Beirut, damaged warehouses. The disaster was preceded by a large fire at the Port of Beirut on the city's northern Mediterranean coast. In videos posted, we saw a lot of those videos. The blast wave leveled buildings near the port. It's just actually catastrophic. I think you may be able to see this behind me. So supposedly you had the warehouse storing ammonium nitrate here. Here's the site of the explosion. And then this extensive damage here. Heavily damaged and destroyed warehouse. And then this Port of Beirut there in Lebanon. The blast destroyed the immediate dockside area, creating a crater approximately 140 meters wide, as Michelle said, which flooded with seawater. The warehouse where the initial fire and explosions were observed was completely obliterated, and an adjacent grain silo was heavily damaged. Satellite images complete...
Ship blast. You can't read what that says right there, but it says, ship blasted out of water. This right here is a ship, okay? I'm assuming that it was in the water, now not in the water.
Yeah.
What kind of blast blew his ship out?
The explosion shockwave blew out windows at the Beirut International Airport's passenger terminal. The blast was heard as far away of 125 miles in Cyprus, across the Mediterranean Sea. It says that it was the equivalent of a 3.3 magnitude earthquake. And I don't know if you can see, here is the city on August 4th, and here it is just obliterated. Lebanon's president blamed the detonation on 3,000 tons of ammonium nitrate.
Well, but
we
it
don't
just,
know
somebody
exactly.
had said, who was it in the chat? It doesn't just blow up. Was that Tim Smith? The ammonium nitrate, it doesn't just blow up. Something had to trigger it.
So this Moldovan flagged cargo ship, the NV Rosas, was docked in Beirut in 2013 after suffering technical problems. I heard actually that they didn't pay fees. A lot of false information going around. And it was inspected and banned from leaving, and was shortly afterwards abandoned by its owners. And supposedly it should have been disposed and resold, but they wanted to keep the ammonium nitrate. It's a crystal-like white solid commonly used as a source of nitrogen for agricultural fertilizer, but it can also be combined with fuel oils and create an explosive used in the mining and construction industries. Militants have made bombs with it in the past. Experts say the ammonium nitrate is relatively safe when stored properly. However, if you have a large amount, it could begin to decay.
I'm still not saying it spontaneously combusted. I'm still not saying it was a firework that set it off. Go ahead, read the thing.
Yeah. So crowds in Beirut greet Macron with chants of calling Lebanese president a terrorist. The blast close to Beirut incinerated much of the port. Lebanese prime minister revealed on Tuesday, wanted to get to Macron. Macron being there is a very bit fishy to me. And why he's working with Hezbollah, because he has asked Donald Trump to and others to fund and relief efforts through Hezbollah. What is going on here? There's more than meets the eye.
Only an insane person, and if Donald Trump does it, which he won't, I will call him insane. Only an insane person would say, okay, let's give our relief aid through a terrorist group. And of course they're going to give all of that money straight through to the people.
So France left Lebanon, withdrew from Lebanon in 1946, but actually remains extremely popular, particularly among parts of the Lebanese population that have participated in ongoing protests against the ruling regime for its corruption, failure to offer basic services like electricity and garbage collection. A petition circulating after the aftermath of the explosion calling for the return of the French mandate actually has collected a lot of signatures. Macron vowed that France would offer humanitarian aid. And he guarantees it will not go into corrupt hands. But
but just please send the aid through Hezbollah, and I promise you, they will use it for humanitarian aid only.
Yeah. So people chanting, "Please do something. What are you going to do to help us?" They know they're run by terrorists. And, nobody really wants to be run by terrorists.
But what's so sad about this is that, yes, they're being run by terrorists, and they're seeking help from a man who is working with those terrorists behind their backs.
Yeah, I'm going to play this one last video. We have literally reached rock bottom. Let's see, I'm going to turn this back on.
It's heartbreaking to see them,
it is
actually, to, not know.
But remember, Lebanon was the Christian country. It's Brigitte Gabriel, and I haven't heard her thoughts on this, which I probably should have gone straight to her. I didn't even think about it. She is Lebanese. She's a Lebanese Christian, and everybody lived in perfect harmony until the terrorists moved in. And you had Hezbollah and the Palestinian sending... the Palestinian terrorists, they were not welcome in Jordan, and they went into Lebanon, and they created, and then suddenly the Muslims started to attack the Christians, and the Christians had to leave in mass exodus. But there's still Christians there. But it's not a pretty place to be.
They killed us. They literally killed us.
The only language we understand is the gallows. That's the only way we'll be satisfied.
We literally reached rock bottom. I don't want to talk about it because I'm going to cry.
Clashes with the police have intensified in Beirut as people demonstrate over the catastrophic explosion in the city. Protesters stormed the foreign ministry and declared it headquarters of the revolution. The protesters were initially peaceful, with Lebanese from all walks of life taking part, but clashes escalated and police quickly resorted to tear gas. We are rebels, free men. They fired directly at us. The explosion is the result of negligence. There have been no resignations since the deadly explosion.
Everyone is to blame for where we are today, for losing our money, for losing our jobs, for losing our businesses, for losing our homes, for losing our loved ones, our friends, everything.
Resign or hang was the message from some protesters. The names of the people killed in the blast were called out and were displayed on posters. The Prime Minister recognized the anger in the country.
Absolutely, they have the right to be angry and furious, not just because of this. This is absolutely diabolical what happened, but however, they are also furious even before that for 3 decades of unbelievable corruption.
These people, the government, have no shame. They're criminals who will kill Beirut. But Beirut will not die. It will live on despite them.
Crazy things going on in the world today, guys. And speaking of that, Here we have one more thing. The Home Secretary Priti Patel has appointed former National Crime Agency executive Dan O'Mahony as the UK's clandestine channel threat commander. He will work to make the channel route unviable for small boat crossings. This was just from last night. I want to see if, as I leave, Brigitte Gabriel, I don't know. She's not off of Twitter, is she? Oop. Otherwise, if I can't find her. She, yeah, I'll have to find her again. What is her... Maybe I can find her. Google.
I will find it. What else do you want to talk about?
No, that's it. That's the end of my show.
Oh, okay. I think you were spelling it right with the 2 T's.
You finish up our show.
I will finish up our show. All right, let's get to some comments here.
I'm spelling it wrong.
Dale Jones says the UK government will need to raise the ship using barges and tow it to deeper water and let it sink into deeper water. Mike Whitney says, I was talking with a Christian woman in Lebanon about 10 years ago when the explosions were happening around there. Harold says, why are there troubles? The followers of extreme peace are supposed to be peaceful, loving, and tolerant. Well said. So what says, that is what they plan for our countries. Mike Whitney says, I had explosions happening about 30 miles away from me this last month. So
I'm wondering, she didn't say anything. I'm just kind of shocked. That's her home country. But speaking of wars and rumors of wars, this week we will be starting we're calling it the Revelation Red Pill Academy.
I love it.
And we
and we'll just
are
probably
very
do like
excited
episode 1, episode 2,
to
episode
bring you
3.
these episodes. We're shooting for Wednesdays, but if something gets up in our crawl, we might start a little early. But
Refocus Zone says, likely an intentional bomb. Ammonium nitrate is highly explosive for 12 months. It had to be primed.
Oh, very interesting. Good point.
I wanted to see if there were comments elsewhere that I needed to get to. But yes, I'm really excited about you do have it in your crawl. I think we really should shoot for Wednesday, though.
But I don't know what time, because, like I said, 7 o'clock is my special time outside.
I said 4:30.
So we'll see how that goes. Well, Monday through Wednesday, we're supposed to be walking at 4.
Oh, that's right.
So we'll see. It might be earlier. Might be 4. Might be during the day.
Probably not.
I don't know. We'll have to make a video telling you guys.
Sorry, guys. I would love to be able to make it a specific time. Leah is she doesn't like to be tied down. This personality difference. So really, you're just going to have to check back. But what I love about the regular times is you guys actually show up at episodes where we do regular times. You don't get notified. So it'll be probably half the crowd if we don't do it at a regular time, so they know.
Well, you'll have to. If you get hooked by the first one, you'll just be looking like I was for Allie.
But they won't find it live. I didn't see it until 45 minutes after she had streamed it.
We'll make a video telling you when it's going to come up, and hopefully look throughout the day.
We're not good at that sort of thing. But you won't want to miss it, so you'll want to watch it afterwards. Look for it after the fact. I know you love the live chat and you like to be here live, but it's going to be a series that you're not going to want to miss, and it will be worth watching afterwards. And if you miss it, you can find it on our podcast. The easiest way to get to our podcast is through our website, resistancechicks.com. The podcast is right there.
That Jeff Durbin video, I didn't need to be live for that video. It was great.
No, right, exactly. But we have our set of viewers that just love being here live, and we love that you love being here with us.
Well, this just might not be one of those things, honestly, because it might not. It's not. It's not going to be an interactive. Because it's not going to be interactive.
There's too many points to hit.
There's too many points to hit, and we'll get put on so many rabbit trails.
Exactly.
Of whataboutisms.
Right.
We'll make sure that we do a special live event when we're done, where we can talk and talk these things through.
Exactly.
Because I need to present my material to you first.
Yes.
Before you might not know that it might be on episode 10 that my material is going to be presented to you.
Meaning, just like with that interview with Allie Beth, she's like, you may answer my question, so I probably should have just let you finish speaking. That sort of thing. So
there's so much that I have packed in for you guys on this Revelation Red Pill Academy. It's almost like a class rather than an interactive thing.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we'll be back here on Friday for sure at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, roughly. And again, next Sunday, no Yes. Here's what I think we're going to do. We're actually going to not be here on Sunday. I would like to... We have one of two options, which I think we're going to go with option one. We're just going to go with one option. I think we should film our show on Saturday on either just film it or stream it live on Resistance Chicks channel and then premiere it, because you guys love to show up at 1 o'clock and have the chat amongst yourselves. So I'm thinking maybe premiere it here at 1 so that everyone that shows up, you'll be able to be here, but it won't be actually live. But we will be filming it on Saturday. So maybe we can even plan for that, and we'll let you know on Friday for sure what we'll be doing. So we'll plan for premiering it on Resistance Chicks channel on Saturday. I'll let you know what times. You can show up for it live if you want to, but it'll probably be in the afternoon. We could even shoot for 1 p.m. on Saturday.
Shoot for 1 on Saturday.
We'll shoot for 1 p.m. on Saturday on Resistance Chicks channel. We'll premiere it here on 1 p.m. on Sunday. How's that sound? All right,
guys. We love you. We have a P.O. Box
107 Milford, Ohio 45150. If you send us your letters, we will read them on air unless otherwise noted. Check out our website. Check out the podcast. Patriot Gallery uploads us constantly. She just did a show last night. I haven't even watched it.
Homeschooling Part 2, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if she's premiered it on Mass Faith 3 or not, but it is on Resistance Chicks. We have 2 channels. Please subscribe to both. Make sure you're still subscribed to both and ring the bell for notifications. As always, we love you guys.
God loves you.
God bless. And it's not just a conspiracy theory.
If it's the truth.
All right. Have a wonderful, blessed rest
week.
of your Sunday.
Amen.
And blessed week. Bye.
I was caught